I am so happy that the match of Barca versus Rayo Vallecano is over and that we're on international break. Barca luckily escaped from Rayo Vallecano away from home with a draw 1-1. And honestly, I do think that result is pretty flattering for Barca. Barca in this match, I do think overall looked pretty lethargic, and Rayo Vallecano probably could have gotten the win or maybe may have deserved the win in this match. So we do need to go ahead and get onto that. The performance of Barca, the performance of Rayo Vallecano, refereeing decision that was made that was controversial. I mean, it seems like at this point when it comes to La Liga, in every other match I'm saying something about the referee, but it has to be talked about when the referee has an influence over the match, and especially if it's controversial, which in this case, even me as a Barca fan, I do think that it was. And on top of that, VAR wasn't working. Which, yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to go ahead and go into the first half, the second half, certain player performances, and the overall match. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Your guys' support truly does go a long way. And let's go ahead and get into Barca versus Rayo Vallecano. So going into this match, Barca did start off with this lineup right here. We had Joan Garcia in goal, who great game, man of the match. We'll go ahead and get onto him in a bit. We did have changes in the center backs. We did have Cubarsi and Araujo out for the likes of Garcia and Christensen going in. Kunde and Balde were on the fullback positions. In the midfield, we have Frank de Jong come back after he was left out in the last match due to him having his baby. Pedri did get a start, which isn't too much of a surprise at this point when it comes to Pedri. And we did have Dani Olmo get a start in the number 10 position ahead of the likes of Fermin. And in the front three, we did have Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, and Ferran Torres. And going into this match with this lineup right here, I do have to say Barca did start off the match looking pretty sloppy. Barca weren't able to keep a long possession at all. Unlike other La Liga teams, when it comes to mid to low table La Liga teams, Rayo Vallecano were a team that were actually looking to press and make things uncomfortable for Barca, specifically when Barca did have the ball. Barca were forced into turnover at times, with Rayo Vallecano looking to hit on the counterattack where there was a ball in behind. They're making a switch over to the other side where it was overloaded. And you could go as early as the 12th minute where you could see Rayo Vallecano's game plan. I mean, Rayo Vallecano do force the turnover on the Balde's left-hand side and do make a switch over to the right-hand side where Kunde was. And before you know it, you have the switch being made and the Rayo Vallecano player all alone in the middle of around the penalty box, the penalty area. And that Rayo Vallecano player crosses it in for an easy tap-in for that Rayo player. But thankfully, Joan Garcia comes to make a great save pretty early on. And that wouldn't be his first save of many throughout this match, which we're going to go ahead and get on to. But the warning signs were there early on for Barca. I mean, Barca weren't able to keep a long possession, forced into turnovers. I think certain players did look pretty sloppy on the ball at times. I mean, for example, Eric Garcia, I think throughout this match, he did not look great at all, especially when it came down to his distribution. He made certain passes which didn't look all that secure. He didn't look comfortable passing out the back. And the same could even be said for Jules Koundé, who at times when he was receiving the ball, he didn't look all that comfortable making secure passes. And sometimes the ball being tangled up in his feet. So I do think it certainly doesn't inspire confidence in Hansi Flick, Barca fans even, especially with all the skepticism around the back line after the last match and even throughout these few matches and preseason matches that we've had. But It was them too. And also, I do have to say, and surprisingly, I'm not sure if it was just me, but I don't think Pedri had a really good game either. I mean, of course, there was times where he did have his moments escaping from possession from Rayo Vallecano, but I think Pedri at times he did get forced into turning over the ball and losing the ball in some positions. And I think there was times where he was complaining a bit much to the referee when being nicked the ball off of. And I don't think Pedri had a really good game. If anything, I think it was Frankie De Jong that looked more like the better player in that midfield duo or trio, if you want to include Dani Olmo. But I don't think Pedri had a good game. Dani Olmo too, we'll go ahead and get onto him, as you know there were a few attacking plays where he could have done so much better. But yeah, Rayo Vallecano just really made it uncomfortable for Barca to play their usual game, where it's possession play, playing out from the back. Rayo Vallecano just pressed really high up and didn't let Barca get into the rhythm of things and move the ball around like they usually do. And especially in the midfield, Rayo Vallecano put a lot of emphasis in not letting Barca play through the middle, and mostly everything was going through the flanks, and they were pressing up high. However, despite that, Barca did get a few chances, being able to get in behind Rayo Vallecano. Two clear-cut chances that did fall to Barca. They were both from Rafinha. I mean, Rafinha and his decision-making in those two clear-cut chances, they were really poor. And the first chance that he did get, it was a really good ball in behind from Eric Garcia. One of the few occasions where Eric Garcia's distribution was good. You put in Rafinha, and you have Ferran Torres running alongside him. And instead of passing it in to Ferran Torres for a possible tap-in, Rafinha decides to shoot and puts it just wide. And you can see the frustration right there from Ferran Torres from that first chance missed, which could have put Barca 1-0 pretty early on. And then you had another chance not long afterwards that did fall again to Rafinha in a similar situation. But rather than looking to shoot, he was looking to pass it to Ferran Torres. But the pass did just fall too hard for Ferran Torres to get a touch on it to even reach. Where in that case, I do think Rafinha probably should have shot. And that was also another occasion where Barca could have gone 1-0 against Rayo Vallecano. And it wouldn't be until the 37th minute where the first goal does fall. You have Lamine Yamal, who does get the ball and does a pretty slick dribble against the Rayo Vallecano defender in the inside the penalty box, inside the penalty area. And you have the Rayo Vallecano player rushing back and trying to nick the ball off Lamine Yamal. Now, the contact that the Rayo Vallecano player does get on Lamine Yamal, it is very minimal when you look at it at a second time. I mean, at first glance, you could probably say that it does look like a penalty. But once you look at it again and see the minimal contact that the Rayo Vallecano player does get on Lamine Yamal, you could tell that it's probably not a penalty, or it's probably a soft penalty. But the referee has to make a choice here, as apparently in this period throughout the match, VAR wasn't working, which I think was an absolute embarrassment. You know, doesn't matter if I'm a Barca fan, Rayo Vallecano fan, Real Madrid fan, doesn't matter. It's just an absolute embarrassment how VAR was not working in the match here in 2025. I mean, you could expect this when, VAR was barely being integrated into La Liga matches and so forth, maybe back in 2019, 2020, whatever you want to call it. But for it not to be working in a match like this, you would probably expect La Liga or whoever is in charge of overlooking the matches to make sure that the VAR equipment is working, especially when it comes to matches like this, because it could really be a difference when it comes to 1 point, 3 points, and the overall result of a La Liga title. But the referee makes a decision to give a penalty to Lamine Yamal, I mean, honestly, it was a pretty soft penalty, and Barca probably shouldn't have gotten it. But Barca do get the call in their favor, and Lamine Yamal dispatches the goal, and Barca is 1-0 up. I don't think Lamine Yamal had the best of games despite that penalty. I think he didn't look great either in this match. He did get the penalty, but he didn't look great. And Barca actually did have a chance to make it 2-0 just before the halftime. It was actually an attempt on goal that did come from the right hand side, from Lamine Yamal's side. And the deflection comes to Dani Olmo, who's in and around the penalty box. He has time to be able to get a good shot on goal, but he flies it over the ball or over the bar. And I think Dani Olmo too, I don't think he had a really good game overall. Alongside, probably the likes of Pedri or the likes of Eric Garcia Conde, he just looked pretty slow at times with the ball. He didn't look great, but that was a clear chance that he missed, and it wouldn't be the first. There would actually be another one where he would miss another chance in the second half. But Barca had the chance to make it 2-0 going into the halftime, but that wasn't the case. It was 1-0 going into the halftime. And you would expect, with Barca looking not great in this first half, you would expect them to pick things up in the second half, but they don't, which we're going to get onto right now. And in the second half, Barca do already concede a chance as soon as the 46th minute. You could see Rayo Vallecano's game plan again, forcing a turnover and making a switch over to an overloaded side. And there was another tap-in that was waiting to happen. Luckily, this one was called offside afterwards, but Joan Garcia was forced into a save without him knowing that it was offsides. And what a save that Joan Garcia made. I mean, throughout the second half, Joan Garcia would be called upon so many times. There was just chance after chance that Rayo Vallecano kept coming onto Barca. Barca in the second half just weren't at the pace at all. They didn't really create any clear-cut chances at all whatsoever in the second half. In the second half, it was all Rayo Vallecano. Rayo just continued putting the pressure and kept forcing Joan Garcia to make really good saves. And it wouldn't come until the 67th minute where Rayo Vallecano, from a set piece, a corner kick, do make it 1-1. And honestly, Barca did deserve to concede that goal, especially with how they were playing. They weren't really putting pressure on Rayo Vallecano at all, and they weren't producing nothing in attack, and really relied on Joan Garcia to keep them in the game. But man, if it wasn't for Joan Garcia, honestly, this game, I could see it being 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals conceded against the likes of Rayo Vallecano. I mean, what a keeper we have in our hands in Joan Garcia. I mean, Joan Garcia, throughout the second half, he honestly did save our ass. And it's a good thing to know that we have a really good keeper who we could depend on, especially when we do need it. I mean, hopefully he does perform like this in bigger games to come. I mean, against the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Chelsea. I mean, against those bigger teams. But it also is a bad thing, because how can Barca have been depending on Joan Garcia this much in this match against Rayo Vallecano? I mean, no disrespect to Rayo Vallecano. I do think that they had a really good game, exploiting the high line and having an exact game plan of what they were looking to do, hit us on the counterattack. But how can Barca's defense be so poor? I mean, Barca really do need to improve on that defense, because think of it. What if it was the likes of PSG, a Chelsea, a Newcastle going up against us? If Rayo had better finishing, they honestly could have embarrassed us. I do think Barca's defense is really a concern, and in many aspects of it, this isn't the first time that we do go over Barca's defense, but Barca are lucky to escape from this match being 1-1. And Hansi Flick did express his frustrations when it came to this match. You could tell he was furious with the performance and pretty concerned. He did mention in his post-match press conference that Barca do need to play more like a united team like they did last season. And they do need to be fully committed to the style of play that Hansi Flick did have like last season. He did say that we also do need to have more possession of the ball. And basically, all of this just refers to the defensive aspect of the game, because in these 3 matches, not only in this match against Rayo Vallecano, but the other matches, there have been signs there that Barca have looked at 50-60% capacity, not all there. I mean, in terms of their pressing, in terms of their possession of the ball, in terms of defending one-on-ones, in terms of all of that, in terms of their intensity also, Barca haven't been all there. They haven't been really concentrated playing as a unit, and that's worrying because against these bigger teams, what are we going to do? Barca luckily are heading into the international break. I mean, it is disappointing that they didn't get the full 3 points and are not trailing against the likes of Real Madrid and Athletic Club in La Liga. But hopefully the Barca players and Hansi Flick could get back to the way they were like last season, as performances like this, especially with important matches that are going to be coming up, it is unacceptable. And Barca do need to find ways to rectify these performances, specifically when it comes to defense. I mean, it is pretty concerning for the way Barca played in this match against Levante, and also even Mallorca. Despite that 3-0 win against them, it is going to be something for Hansi Flick to look into. I'm going to go ahead and try to make a video of the pros and cons from these 3 teams that we've seen so far. I mean, the likes of Barca, the likes of Real Madrid, the likes of Atletico Madrid. There are a few takeaways already pretty early on in the season that we could get from these 3 teams. But, I mean, you guys let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What did you guys make of Barca's performance overall? What do you guys make of Joan Garcia's performance overall, who had a really good performance? Is there anything that I failed to mention in this match review? You guys let me know in your comments down below. For those of you guys that did tune into this video, I really do appreciate you guys' support. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.